Hi Gamer, the Aether Studios 2025 recap and 2026 preview was just published by Dan Fennessy on Medium. It's a pretty long read, and I know that's kinda hard for you Kraken Olympia mains, so I thought that I'd make a video reading it to you so you can do a chore or play a game while we hear about it. To start, we'll look back at 2025, and then we'll look forward at 2026. If you just want to hear what's coming up with the game, I've got timestamps marked down below, so feel free to skip around. Dan starts by saying, "Hello everyone, it's once again been 2 years since our last developer recap and preview, and just like last time, it's been a roller coaster for our team behind the scenes. Over the last 2 years, our primary focus has been developing and updating Rivals of Aether 2, the sequel to Rivals of Aether. Today, I'd like to share some insight behind the development of the game and where our studio is headed this year. To start with 2025, we had the Rivals Micro Direct. We started 2025 with full confidence that we would not be creating another Rivals Direct. We know how out of control things like these get with our April 1st productions, especially when we contracted a puppet company to create Rivals Direct 4. We also cancelled 2024's Rivals Direct, so we could fully focus on launching Rivals 2 at the end of the year. However, as we got closer to the now infamous holiday, we realized that we had a few reveals that lined up nicely in April. The first was Lovers Homecoming, a Rivals 2 in-game event featuring skins from Lovers of Aether, our first April Fool's game. Next, we had Adam Kara explain the new ranked update that was coming in Rivals 2, the next patch. After that, we showed off a game that was prominent Rivals Workshop developer Muno was working on called Animation Versus, as well as a crossover stage skin coming to their game. Next up was a deep dive from yours truly that showed off the Crystal Oasis stage skin and updated fans on Rivals 2's development. Finally, we saved the best reveal for last. We released a new game set in the Aether universe that was completely free for 24 hours to celebrate the holiday called Dreams of Aether. Dreams of Aether is the second game in the Aether universe that wasn't developed by Aether Studios, following in the footsteps of Creatures of Aether in 2020. Instead, it was developed by Lepioid LLC, a studio run by a longtime Aether team member and worked on by developer Geek. I hope I'm getting all your names right. Aether Studios published the title and brought back Resoforce to supply sound effects and music, Ian Flynn to develop the story, and Elian to supply pixel art. Compared to other spin-offs that our studio has released, this one took the least resources and time away from our leadership. Geek and his team pitched the idea themselves and were provided a small budget to create the game, and his team knocked it out of the park. The game features a ton of arcade-styled microgames and its own story expanding the world of Aether. I really love Dreams of Aether. It's like $3 I think, so if you have a few extra bucks to throw at your Steam shop and you want like a fun game to play through a weekend, this one's definitely worth it. It's so fun. Next up, the Rivals 2 Championship Season 1. The Rivals 2 Championship Series, or R2CS for short, kicked off its first season in May 2025. It started with Hungrybox's first online qualifier for EVO in May. Then, a week later, competitors and myself descended to Chicago for Combo Breaker 2025. Then, in June, players flew to Orlando for CEO 2025. And finally, in July, players found themselves north of the border for Gone Wolf Forever. Then, Hungrybox hosted a second online qualifier for EVO in July. This is a lot. Next up was EVO 2025. Rivals of Aether 2 was included in their extended lineup, and we made sure to seize the opportunity on stage at EVO. We hosted a panel where we revealed a new character and updated players on our roadmap plans for 2026. Then, on Finals Day, we revealed an epic trailer for the next in-game event that had an amazing top 8 where longtime platform fighter expert Plup was able to secure the crown over Stango. There wasn't much time to rest post-EVO though, because the very next week was Supernova 2025, which hosted the largest Rivals of Aether 2 local tournament so far, with 587 entrants in Chantilly, Virginia. A couple weeks later in August, players showed up for Collision 2025 in New Jersey, and then, in September, the best players competed at Riptide 2025 in Ohio. We also had an Aether Studios run North American Online Weekend tournament in late September. Then, we had 2 West Coast tournaments in October and November, and SBS brought us to the 8th installment of Heatwave 8, the largest Rivals-focused local Platfighter event every year. Then, in December, we had 2 more online events with Platfight Online and the Cashblock 6. Above, you can see the standings as they are right now. We ran 4 online European brackets and highlighted 5 local European events throughout the part of the European R2CS. In North America, we still have 2 more events in late January with Let's Make Big Moves and Frosty Faustines. And it all culminates next month at Genesis X3 in San Jose, California, for the North American R2CS Season 1 finale. Next, let's talk about the 4 new characters added to Rivals of Aether 2. One of our biggest and most consistent developments in 2025 was that we were able to release 4 characters spread over the year. We released Edalus in January, Olympia in April, Absa in July, and Galvan in October. We had a blast revealing these characters at live tournaments. Olympia was revealed at Genesis X2 in February, and the crowd yelled at the trailer's intro, which misdirected who the next character would be. Absa was revealed live at Combo Breaker in Chicago in June, and Galvan was part of our developer panel at EVO 2025 in August. Even though it's a ton of work, we're excited to do it again, as we announced at EVO we would be releasing 4 characters in 2026 too. Next are 12 months of Rivals of Aether 2 events. Before we get into this, seeing all their logos together is so sick, I didn't realize how diverse they were, and that's really neat to me. Another ambitious accomplishment that our team achieved in 2025 is having a unique cosmetic every month of the year. These events come with a free in-game battle pass unlocked by players playing any mode, and have 20 levels of rewards to unlock. These rewards include a free skin, free emote, free icon, free death effect, and free respawn platform every month, along with free rewards. We also launched a 3-skin bundle with icons at the start of every month for real-world currency, but every skin released can also be purchased in our in-game shop with Aetherbucks, which players can earn by leveling up characters or completing events. So if you have a favorite skin and didn't want to spend your real money on the game, you could get it yourself by just playing enough. I think this is so sick where there's nothing that's premium in the game that's locked behind a paywall, right? I guess maybe the Orcane skin and maybe 1 or 2 other event skins and palettes, right? But there's no bundled skin that's locked behind real money. I think that's very, very neat. We also released an epic skin during our mid-month patches between each event. Sometimes these were also themed around the event, and sometimes they had their own theme. For every event start and mid-month skin for the whole year, our co-publisher Offbrand created a video to showcase the cosmetics, and they were some of our best video content of the year. Before Rivals of Aether 2 released, our studio operated off nearly all sales of game copies from different platforms. In 2025, we saw in-game sales become a much bigger part of our studio's revenue. The quality and frequency of cosmetics have made that possible. But the amount of cosmetics we got out of the door last year was bonkers, and we're looking to make some adjustments to this year to avoid burning out the team. I definitely imagine we'll probably see less cosmetics, but we might see more of those legendary cosmetics, which might be higher priced, more premium cosmetics, which would be super sick. Crew battles are a new way to play the online mode that added to the game in late October of 2025. You can play this mode through lobbies or through matchmaking, either by yourself or as friends with a team of 3. The original idea behind this feature was to capitalize on our server-based multiplayer architecture in a traditional peer-to-peer game. It wouldn't make much sense to create a team battle mode where players rotate, because a connection lag would increase for each player in the lobby, but only 2 players would be fighting at any given moment. However, thanks to our server authority, all 6 players can connect and experience the same quality of connection as if they were playing a 1v1 at that server location. Originally, we were just planning on matchmaking being just 2 teams of 3 players to start a crew battle, but we knew that we wanted people to be able to queue up and find matches. We've been struggling to fill the 2v2 and free-for-all queues already with the size of our player base, so we decided to combine the team queue with teams of 1, where 1 player can play the whole team. Crew battles can end up being a 1v1, 1v3, or a 3v3, and is capable of matching players with any of the configurations. Crew battles is just the start of what we'd want to do with our different online modes that utilize our server in unique ways. With how busy the rest of the year was, I was ecstatic that our senior programmer, Beth, was able to set time aside and get the feature out in October. I'm very curious what other modes they have that they're envisioning. I wonder if a larger, more multiplayer, maybe an 8-player mode or something like that is down the line. For updates and challenges, along with the new characters and new modes, we also completed the rest of the 2025 roadmap that we announced in 2024. The Ranked update was launched in April 2025, and brought the feature to one of the Ranked Lite that we launched into the full featured mode. It features ranked seasons that reset every 3 months, as well as ranked medals that you can earn from every rank set that you play. These medals can be used to purchase exclusive skins, emotes, and icons, all themed after the champion skins from the first Rivals of Aether. For training improvements, we've had our programmer Walls attack the goal from multiple fronts. In January, we released the first 3 beginner tutorial lessons. In February, we released 3 trials for Eyebreak, Target Test, and Edge Guarding that allow players to practice skills in repeatable practice environments. In July, we released the intermediate tutorial lessons, and in December, we released the advanced tutorial lessons. Throughout the year, we also added features to training mode and improved the replay features. Another big update was our controller overhaul that launched in November 2025. We migrated our controller support from Xinput and Raw Input to SDL, which is the same controller backend that Steam uses to facilitate Steam input, along with converting controllers to SDL. We also added a full screen menu for changing controls and added some cool keyboard features like angle modifiers and mouse support. This update changed a lot under the hood and wasn't without bugs at launch. Many players with non-Xbox controllers ran into issues that we've been fixing over the last 2 months. We also have some bugs with the full screen controller menu that we're still fixing that can make it harder to use than the character select screen controller menu. While we did manage to hit all the goals in our 2024 roadmap, the frequent updates did come with a cost. Many of the updates had more bugs than we would like, and required quick hotfixes and patches to button them up after going out the door. We also had some updates that lowered performance for some players, and we've been devoting resources to recently to profile and fix issues. We also were not able to focus on many features for non-competitive players while we worked on everything else that we accomplished. While 2025 was successful in many ways, the updates and challenges made it clear what we needed to focus on for 2026. And moving on to our 2026 preview, this year our focus is set on improving the experience for players who don't want to grind a ranked mode or aren't as competitively minded. To start, we'll have 4 new characters. Again, in 2026, we're running back our 4 character release schedule. All 4 have been started already, but they're at different stages of development. The first character released earlier this month and was Lorena, who could be considered both a newcomer or a returning character, depending on your perspective. There's new messaging from the team because previously they've always referred to Lorena as a returning character, so I'm curious what that means internally. Lorena won the Rivals Workshop character contest that we ran back in 2023. Creators on the Rivals 1 workshop were tasked with creating original characters, and our team picked one winner that would join the Rivals of Aether 2 roster. There were over 80 submissions, and we played and ranked them all, and Lorena came out on top. We liked her so much that we chose her, even though we already had another metal and magnet user Galvin coming down the pipe. Along with Lorena, there will be 3 more characters coming in 2026. One minor difference from last year is that we'll be taking advantage of the full year, and we'll be spreading them out just a little longer. But 4 characters per year is a ton of work for our team, especially with the amount of updates that we're trying to release all at the same time. So don't be too surprised if we end up having to drop down to 3 or even 2 characters in 2027 in order to focus on getting some of the other big features on our roadmap completed for 2027. I would imagine that we're definitely going to be seeing probably 2 characters next year, and I really would not be shocked if we see one of our characters dip into December this year. Because if you think back to 2025's release schedule, right? Galvin came out in October. So I wonder if this year maybe, let's say, our next character comes out late spring, and then our next character's early fall, and then our last character's early winter, right? That can make sense if they take a little bit more time, which shouldn't be too big of a problem because we'll still get 4 fighters. Next up, talking about R2CS and esports in 2026, you don't have to wait long for our first esport event of 2026. Tomorrow on January 20th, you can tune into Twitch Rivals of Aether Part 2 at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. The event features 6 teams of streamers who have a mix of skills. The players will compete using the new crew battle mode, and the winning teams will get an icon added to the Rivals of Aether 2 to immortalize their teamwork. That's kinda sick that we'll see some creator and stuff like that in the game. Season 1 of the Rivals 2 Championship Series comes to a close as our final January competitions are happening soon. We've got 3 exciting events left in the regular season. Let's Make Big Moves 2026, the Cashbox GX3 Online Qualifier, and Frosty Faustines 2026. Once these events wrap and the dust settles on the leaderboard, vouchers will be distributed, and then all the focus shifts to the season finale at Genesis X3 on February 13th to the 15th. There is a race for the top with a handful of players in striking distance for the gold this year. That actually is true. I feel like number 1 is pretty debatable within the scene, even right now, so it'll be cool to see how that shakes up. We currently have plans to run a second season of the Rivals 2 Championship Series in 2026. It'll kick off in the spring again, and feature another set of online and local majors in both North America and European regions. SBS and George are working now on securing the event and making sure the series has a great follow-up to its first year. One event that's already confirmed and will be a focus for the Rivals 2 Championship Season 2 is EVO 2026. This is the first time that the Rivals franchise is being featured at EVO as a main game. This is big news for us because making a platform fighter that could be played at EVO has been a personal goal since I attended EVO 2013 while working on Killer Instinct. It's surreal that we were able to achieve it this year, and I'll be forever grateful to the whole Aether Studios team for making it possible. Steam Workshop for custom characters. Just last week, we released an open beta for workshop support in Rivals 2. Right now, it features only supports custom characters, but we plan to expand it as time goes on. By downloading the free Rivals of Aether 2 mod kit on the Epic Games Store, players can use a modified version of Unreal Engine 5 and Lua scripting to create their own characters. This is an open beta, so it still has a lot of bugs and issues that we're working on. It's only accessible on the Steam beta branch right now, but it will migrate over to the main game once custom characters are ready for their showtime. Our goal is to move it over to the main build before the end of 2026. We were able to achieve this monumental task in 2025 by taking a big risk and outsourcing our development of Steam Workshop to a studio called SkyMap Games. After exploring some different paths to get Workshop added to the game, we realized how difficult it would be with internal developers, even if we hired new ones. We had already seen how a live game would shift priorities, and engineers would be fixing bugs or putting out fires, or just pausing their tasks to help get a new feature out the door. We could see how Workshop would keep getting deprioritized over immediate updates, and we knew that the game had a great launch, but like many multiplayer games, it was settling into a lower player base. If we wanted Steam Workshop to help us increase our player counts, we would need to strike while the iron was hot, and we still had the funds to do so. The risk was worth it, in that SkyMap was able to deliver the feature by the end of 2025. However, it came with a cost. The additional overhead of running the bigger studio and paying for external developers exhausted the runway we had built from launch. That means that SkyMap is ramping off the project at the end of the month, and it'll be up to our engineers to maintain the feature, fix bugs, and eventually move it out of beta. You can expect updates to the Steam Workshop beta to be a little slower than we would like, but I'm confident our team will be able to carry the torch after some ramp up. We consider Workshop a critical feature for generating funds for our studio, so we can bring the game to consoles, but we know that feature still has bugs and limitations right now. It's also much harder for creators to develop a fully 3D character than it was in the first game with the 2D sprites. So we expect the feature to take longer to have an impact than it took for Rivals 1. This means our studio is not out of the woods when it comes to financials, but we do have another update planned for 2026 that we believe could help boost sales alongside Workshop, items, and casual stages. Items and casual stages are two features that are probably not expected from our fans when we announce them on the roadmap for 2026. I think most players would expect to see consoles in story mode targeted first, especially after our 2023 Kickstarter, which included some clips of story mode chapter 1. While story mode is still on our to-do list and something we want to have available at consoles for launch, its development has been paused for over a year for two main reasons. The first is that we had to disband the small core team that was developing story mode shortly after the Kickstarter completed. We weren't able to hit its admittedly very high stretch goal, and we knew that delivering a strong, competitive game mode was going to take everything we had at the time. The second reason is that story mode is a big undertaking and not something that we take lightly. We know it would take multiple team members many months with just Chapter 1 alone, as their only task to achieve what we're looking to do. Items, on the other hand, is something that we have targeted for 2026, even before launching Kickstarter. You might ask why, and it's because I love item characters and platform fighters. I love how you can learn the intricacies with throwing and dropping, or mastering movement options like glide tossing to get an advantage, even if you're the one playing against the item character. And to add this archetype of character, every other character needs item logic as well as relevant animations. we decided to limit ourselves to pick up or throw items for now, no swinging weapons, in order to make sure the scope didn't balloon too far. And as we can see Zetterburn holding the item, so it shows some logic for this is already finished and some animations. I'm kinda hoping that Bomb is a hint towards Mallow. I really want him back, but if it's someone new, I'm sure they would be sickening as well. We also know that items introduce a fun way to get your friends into the game, who might not be as competitive as you are. So in addition to the character-specific items, we decided to take a stab at a small set of items inspired by the Aether universe, to allow players to shake up their online and local play when they're looking to just have a little fun. But if you're looking to have fun, wouldn't you like to do it in a less formal location? That's where casual stages come into play. It's something we've had on our extended roadmap since the feature was well received in Rivals 1, as Aether stages is a way to level the playing field. We're not planning to have one for every single stage layout, and some stage skins may get casual locations. So we've decided to change its name since Aether and basic stages imply that every stage will come with both layouts. We're planning to launch casual stages alongside items as part of a big update to make the game more appealing to a wider audience, and not just those two features. We'll be improving the menus and the online queues in the same update to help ensure that people will be able to find casual matches. Menu and optimization improvements. One exciting update coming to the game very soon, planned for later this week, so I'd imagine tomorrow, is an update to the main menu led by our two newest hires, Killen as the UI lead and Jasmine as a UI programmer. I hope I said y'all's names right. This update features reskins for the main menu, local modes menu, online menu, the entire in-game store, the leaderboards, the top bar, and the lobby pop-ups and general pop-ups. The goal of these updates is to improve the user experience on these screens, while also creating a new UI art direction that we can bring more screens as time goes on. We're super excited to get this update out, but unfortunately bringing the designs to more menus is going to take longer than anticipated, and I'll explain why in the next section. So we can see here's the online menu, looks super sick, and the local menu, it's got Zetterburn, and then the scary one for arcade. Another improvement to the menus is planned to coincide with the release of items and casual stages. We plan to update the online queues to resuscitate the existing ones and have more players queuing up for casual matches. We'll do this by simplifying the online options and introducing a rotation system, so that modes like 2v2, cruise, and free-for-all all get their time in the sun, where it's easier to find a match for a period and then rotate out of it being highlighted. The goal is to be able to find matches much more reliably, in modes other than ranked, even with current player-base sizes. The design is still being finalized, but no matter how you queue up, you'll still be able to play whatever mode you like in public and private lobbies whenever you want. Another focus for 2026 for our studio is improving the optimization of the game. We know that we need to do this to get to console eventually, but with the new features and menus that launched in 2025, we have seen PC players running into performance issues both in and outside of gameplay. We've decided to split the priorities of Tom, our backend engineer, to give him some time to help on performance. And his first change just came out in a hotfix last week, as the game will now warm shaders during the boot screen, which should help reduce the amount of players who run into stutters when first loading menus, meshes, or visual effects mid-match. We'll be looking to make more optimization improvements during the rest of the year in both in and out of gameplay. Next, we're moving on to the studio finance and future. This part of the video might have a few bummers in it, so just a heads up. With all the active development and changes that we're looking to make, it would be easy to assume that Aether Studios and Rivals of Aether 2 are in a great spot right now, and in many ways you would be correct. We have been able to achieve so much, and we've hit all of our goals for a 2025 roadmap, while simultaneously starting development for 2026 features. However, these developments have come with a cost. When we had a great launch at the end of 2024, we determined that we had to act quickly to maintain momentum and devoted resources to 3 key areas at once. First, we hired additional artists and animators in order to release the 12 months of cosmetics, and the 4 new characters that we set out to achieve. Secondly, we outsourced development of the Steam Workshop in order to develop it alongside the game. Third, we hired new team members to help us update our UI to improve the user experience and visual quality. In retrospect, I probably should have just committed to just one of these goals for 2025, because when the last 3 months of sales came under my projections, the financial burden of doing so much at once came to a head at the end of the year. Unfortunately, that means that we have to reduce our team size in order to continue development in 2026. Last week, we informed teams that we would be letting go of 8 developers across multiple disciplines, which make up a quarter of our studio. This includes SBS, our senior community manager, Walls, one of our in-game programmers, Garrett, our senior concept artist, Arena, our junior 3D artist, Luke, our junior 3D animator, and Jasmine, our UI programmer, and more. We didn't want to let any of these team members go, as they've all done amazing work and been fantastic to work with. If our plans pay off, we'd like to bring many of them back later this year if we can. If you work in the industry and have any openings, then please reach out to me or the team members. This round of layoffs will be difficult for our studio. The first time our studio dealt with them, we decided to delay story mode development, and most of the people we had let go were working on that feature. This time, the members have been integral across multiple departments at Aether Studios, and are a big part of what we do. The updates to our menus will take time, as the remaining engineers and artists have multiple responsibilities, and our cosmetic cadence will need to decrease as we lose a core member. As difficult as the last couple of months have been, I have hope that we will find our footing in 2026. We truly believe in the updates we have released this month, as well as the casual focused update that we're planning for later this year. My goal is to get the studio to a position where we can hire some team members back and end 2026 is the best year of Rifles of Aether 2 so far. Thanks so much for reading, and thank you all for your support, Dan Fernacey. So, I will note that it's super important to support indie game studios because there are like real teams working on games at indie studios. It's not like if you buy like a Valorant cosmetic, right? The team that's working on Valorant is not hinged upon cosmetic selling as much as a game like Rivals, right? So just a reminder to support them. However, I do want to peek over these new modes that are coming to 2026 that we brushed up on. I didn't think that items were this far into development where we had like animations and even like models for some of the items. As we know, Dan and the team on a live stream talked about some items might pull from characters' kits, right? Like adding Maple Mark to a character on a throwable, or maybe like Zetterburn Fire might become like an item that you can place on somebody. So that seems super sick. I'm really excited to see what they're cooking up. And then also knowing that these menus are dropping now, and that the next round of menus are probably maybe 3 to 4 months away, and then would be coming with items in casual stages is very sick. Right here we can kind of see a casual stage. It looks like this is like the back of Rockwall. We can see Rockwall from Rivals 1 back there actually, which is cool. And maybe there's like an F-Zero type stage where this stage like takes you around Rockwall and puts you in different locations to like dodge the... I don't know what you call these. They're not cars. They're cars on F-Zero, but Cragmobile, Crag Spinner. I don't know. Are they like Beyblades? I don't really know. Maybe a Bakugan. But you gotta kind of like dodge around these while fighting. So that'll be a lot of fun. In my 2026 wish list, I did ask for like more casual stuff, since it is like so difficult to like onboard a friend to the game. Since obviously like I know what I'm doing and they won't. So I think this kind of mode will like actually help smooth this out a lot. I think this is exactly what the game needs. And I'm really excited to hear that the devs are happy with where the game's at competitively, more or less, obviously. Like, we'll still get patches, and that they now do want to shift their focus onto getting more casual players into the game. Also, as far as the Steam charts go, I see a lot of people dooming about these, right? But I think that over time, any game is going to obviously have, like, a crazy huge launch and then slope down. However, if you do notice, like, players are peaking whenever new characters get added, and those peaks are not necessarily like decreasing from other lows, right? Like this low is not so much lower than like this low over here, right? So I don't really think that like players need to be like alarmed about how many people are online. However, it is good that if you do enjoy an indie game, you do support it. So I think that's super important. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do know that this one was a lot longer than most of my normal videos and a little bit less edited, but it means a ton. And I hope you guys all continue to enjoy Rivals 2. I know I will. I'm hosting free weekly brackets every week on my server, by the way, so if you do want to compete and start playing the game more seriously, feel free to check it out. It's all linked down below. If not, that's all good, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now!